Good morning. This is not what I expected to be doing at 1:30 in the morning on a Wednesday morning. But this is flagship weather. We are live due to severe weather that is moving into our area. Currently, there's a severe thunderstorm warning that is covering from areas from Benson through Wilmer down towards Hutchinson. It includes Litchfield, New London, Spicer, Olivia, and Clara City. These storms are producing winds up to 60 miles an hour. If you notice, there's also a dark purple, pink warning back here in Appleton and Benson. That is a destructive severe thunderstorm warning for winds up to 80 miles an hour. Any of these storms that are forming up on this line, reaching pretty much from Ortonville and Morris all the way back down towards Fairmont, down towards Mason City, any of these storms could be severe warned at any time and produce 60 to 70 miles an hour winds. So that is what we are live for. I apologize, my voice is not doing so well tonight. So this may be a night where you see more of me than you hear more of me.
Attention,
And
a
there's
new
that news for
considerable
thunderstorm
severe
warning for Hope in Stevens
thunderstorm
County for
warning has
70
been
mile an hour
issued.
winds. That's a considerable threat. And there's the details there. Small hail, 70 mile an hour wind gusts. Chokio, Alberta, Morris, Hancock, Fish Lake, Donnelly, Cyrus, and the Glacial Lake State Park are affected by that storm. That storm is currently 13 miles southwest of Morris, moving northeast at 45. And that is kind of the general thread here, is all these storms are moving northeast at 45 miles an hour. All right. Not a lot to talk about right now, thankfully. It's all, I shouldn't say all, mostly severe thunderstorms with strong and damaging winds. There were a couple of tornadoes earlier tonight back in South Dakota. One was confirmed, moved near the casino in South Shores. And that is the same line that is moving across right now. I'm going to switch radar sites over here to Sioux Falls. And you can see that line there from Mason City back up through Wilmer, up towards Ortonville, and that extends all the way back up to Fargo. There are actually two lines. There's the line that's running right along the Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota border, and then there's this line that arches out towards Mason City. And where those two are meeting, it's right up there about Ortonville. That's where those really severe storms are coming into play with the 70 to 80 mile an hour wind gusts. And I just realized you can see random spots where I am chroma keying out and you're seeing the blue behind. Yeah, this is called... I didn't expect the warnings to fly as fast as they did. I saw the special weather statement come out and posted about it, and it wasn't 5 minutes later there was a warning slapped on, and I'm like, well, at least we got the special weather statement as a warning of the warning. And you'll hear some of us in the weather industry call these things like TMU, severe thunderstorm warnings, or things like that. And it's basically a special weather statement is when it's a strong thunderstorm that is not quite severe. These were issued for 50 mile an hour winds and small hail. The threshold for a severe storm is 60 miles an hour. So that explains that and why it was so close. All right. Let's see if I can get my collective stuff together here. And you guys get to hear my new old keyboard. And I joke about that because the keyboard is quite old. It's, I think, 30 years old now? 35? Let me look. Date of birth was July 25th, 1991. This keyboard turns 35 next month. And it's still going strong. 25. No, 30. God bless. 35 years old, I can count. It's a little late. And getting the latest radar data in now. There we go. And as we take a look at this, I'm going to zoom in on this area that is currently warned. I'm going to switch back to the Chanhassen radar site. Bear with me here for just 1 second. See if that works any better. Not really. I can hear my voice is shot. So let's take a look at the velocities on this. And as we do, you can see that there's this bright area here. And I'm going to minimize that back out. Sorry about that, folks. And looking at this, we're looking at about a mile off the ground, so about between 4,000 and 5,000 feet. But these wind speeds are easily 60, 65, 70 miles an hour. And the GNSS radar, the AI that's built into the program that detects tornadic circulation sinks, it sees one over here north and west of Marshall up towards Minneota. That would be a warning that would have to come from Sioux Falls. That is not a Chanhassen warning area thing. But let's go back over to our reflectivity here. And one thing to be aware of is they're issuing these warnings. Notice it goes out quite a ways. One, the storms are moving quite quickly at between 45 and 55 miles an hour. But the other part of that is these storms, excuse me, if they go outflow dominant, meaning they start suddenly pushing their cold air out in front of them, they're going to push that front, that gust front way out in front, and that's going to hit you long before the storms do. I mean, you might see some lightning in the distance, and all of a sudden you're getting hit with 60-mile-an-hour winds. But again, watching this stuff down here, I mean, we have the warning up here from Olivia up towards Wilmer, Claris City, back up here towards Benson. Those warnings continue all the way, like I said, all the way back up towards Fargo. What I'm watching is this area down here closer to New Ulm, Mankato, because that area is strengthening as well, and it is right along this stalled front. And so it will be very interesting to see what happens with that front as the other line comes in and picks it up. You guys are going to hear me typing quite a bit as I also try to get warnings out on social media. Okay. And for our friends up north, just so you are aware, the Storm Prediction Center is looking at the possibility of issuing a watch farther north and east into north central and northeastern Minnesota. And that would be in the next couple of hours. So that is something to keep in mind. I'm not going to show the regional discussions from the Storm Prediction Center as the map is already complicated enough. And I want to keep this simple so we can see exactly what's happening as it happens. Somewhere back over here, I have the window I'm looking for. There it is. Okay. Bear with me here. I'm going to change things up real quick. I just realized I've got a setting set wrong, and I'm putting out a pretty crappy signal, really. So, that's what I'm looking for. Bear with me. I'm going to stop the stream for just a moment. All right. I'm going to wait for YouTube to kick up here. Wakey, wakey, YouTube. There we go. Sorry about that. Video quality was about a quarter of what it should have been. That's much sharper and much better looking. Perfect. All right, we did need an update while I was updating that. So we have an update here. This is for the storm that's up southwest of Morris, moving northeast towards Morris. 70-mile-an-hour winds and quarter-sized hail. And that was confirmed by emergency management at 1:47. So that would be this cell right up in here. All right. So far, so good for the Twin Cities. Nothing yet moving at the Twin Cities. However, Wilmer, St. Cloud, and areas north and west of the Twin Cities, it's going to be a stormy, thumpy morning. And yeah, I have no idea why my voice is shot. It's going to be a long night if I have to talk like this all night. Okay. Still watching that activity down here towards Mankato and New Ulm. Quite a bit of lightning centered there between Redwood Falls and New Ulm. So that's an area to watch. Switch back to velocity data here real quick. And you can see that area where that lightning is 60 to 65 mile an hour winds moving away from the radar, it says. Sorry, towards the radar. Oh, good grief. I can tell it's been a long night. I've been watching this activity since it formed in central North and South Dakota and started getting warned, and that was several hours ago now. So, just getting a little tired. I'm glad I got a nap in earlier tonight. Okay. So, okay. Oh. A quick see what I have for cameras available. I wasn't quite expecting to be jumping live. So let's grab. Okay, and cameras. There we go. Okay. Okay. You know, I could have sworn there were more cameras out in western Minnesota than there are, apparently. I'm not sure where those cameras have gone. That's, yeah. So as I look at this, I can see the weather in Clara City, but that's not really helpful. A static view, that's not going to show us the wind or what's happening. And there are no cameras out there that are currently online. Actually, I take that back. Yeah, it's a static camera. That's not helpful. Be more looking to see if the cameras are shaking, things like that. But fortunately, I don't have any cameras out that way. Okay. A quick catch up here on my incoming data. So, just looking at the trimming of the warning of the watch box here. So let me switch back to that. Boop. Is that? There we go. So right now, what the Storm Prediction Center is saying. I just lost it from a bit. Very curious. So I'm going to go back and grab that real quick. So bear with me here. Where is it? Okay. Okay. And from the Storm Prediction Center, just rereading an earlier discussion, there is the possibility for a scattered tornado or two in central Minnesota tonight as that area where the two lines have come together. But currently they are starting to trim the watch. So everywhere that is basically east of a line from...
Attention, a new severe thunderstorm warning has been issued.
North. So areas from Halleck all the way down to Redwood Falls and west. So again, that's west of a line from Halleck down to Redwood Falls. You're in the clear. The watch is being canceled for you. That's not going to take out a whole heck of a lot of people out here. But we're going to have to watch this entire line. And there's that big new warning that went up for Detroit Lakes and farther north from Becker, Cass, Clay, Clearwater, Monoman, and Norman. Way up here in northwestern Minnesota in the Red River Valley. To wait for an update here from National Weather Service in Chanhassen. I'm going to put this little section into a loop here real quick. So I just want to watch. Okay, so there's that area. Okay, so the storms that were going for Benson, those really have kind of petered out. But boy, if I was east of Benson and, well, between Winston, if I was on Highway 9, between Wilmer and Benson, I would be kind of concerned anywhere north and east of that area. Same thing for this area down by Redwood Falls. It's kind of weakened some as it moved over Olivia, but now it's starting to come back together again. There is a lot of instability and a lot of storm fuel, but it quickly, strictly starts to trail off as the storms get out here towards the Mississippi River and the St. Croix River. So it'll be interesting to watch the storm evolution here over the next couple of hours. Olivia reported a gust of 44 miles an hour. I'm assuming, yeah, that's from the automated observation point at Olivia. All right, so I'm gonna do a quick look here. I'm gonna jump around a couple of radar sites here. I'm gonna look at a little farther south with the La Crosse radar. I want to see what this line looks like down towards the state line, moving in towards Albert Lee. Okay.
New information. This severe thunderstorm warning has been updated.
Okay, and that is a warning for Fargo. Looks like Moorhead. Okay, it was actually, yeah, Moorhead, Dilworth. Reported 62-mile-an-hour wind gust, so that is severe. I'll go back to the Twin Cities radar since that's what we're looking at primarily here is our area. There we go. And as I mentioned, there's not nearly as much instability in storm fuel once you get closer to the Mississippi River and the St. Croix. So areas along I-35 and west are where the better storm fuel is. Once you get to about I-35 and start moving east of 35 and into western Wisconsin, the storm fuel really does start to peter out. Having said that, though, we do have our severe thunderstorm watch that does run from Ladysmith to Eau Claire down to Winona and down to La Crescent, and that will be in effect until 7 a.m., same as we are here in the Twin Cities. All right. So I'm going to kind of do a bigger picture here. There we go. So regionally, this is what we're looking at. And you can see that line of storms runs all the way well north of Winnipeg and northwest of Dryden, comes all the way back down through the northwest corner of Minnesota. There's a couple little kinks as it kind of snakes around. One of them's here between Grand Forks and Fargo. I'm going to get that reverse C shape there. And then you've got another bow between Fargo.
Attention, a new considerable
Morris.
severe thunderstorm warning has been issued.
All right. And that's going to be for this area out here with Long Prairie, Glenwood, Alexandria, up towards areas north and west of Sauk Center. This is a considerable severe thunderstorm warning for winds. Holy crap. Sorry. Until 2:45 a.m. for winds to 70 miles an hour and small hail. And these storms are rocketing to the northeast at 70 miles an hour. So the forward speed is definitely contributing to the wind speeds that we're seeing on the ground as well. And having said that, would not be surprised to see the rest of Stearns County, the rest of Meeker, and possibly into northwestern Wright County get a new warning here shortly. Because these storms are moving through pretty quick. I'm going to pop back out of composite mode here. There we go. Get a much more detailed look of what's coming at us. If you're watching from the Twin Cities, good morning. It is just about 2 o'clock. Actually, it is 2 o'clock here, Central Time. Coming to you live from Apple Valley, Minnesota, looking at the severe storms that are moving in. It looks like the severe storms may go just a little north of the Twin Cities, but areas from Buffalo to Elk River up towards Cambridge, you're definitely in line for this. The question is whether these storms a little bit farther south and east from our warning, so areas down towards Gaylord, Newell, Mankato, if that activity can strengthen and keep itself organized, that would bring a severe threat here into the Twin Cities. And our severe threat looked like it was going to be a little later in the morning. They originally were saying somewhere between 4 and 5 here in the Twin Cities, but these storms are cooking. I mean, they're in Mankato right now and they're moving northeast at 55. That's going to put them in Shakopee in about an hour. So that would put them in Stillwater in about another hour after that. So clearing the Twin Cities by 4 o'clock, really. Eau Claire, you would see anything, if it's still holding together, you would see that closer to probably 5 or 6. So you're going to get a nice little wake-up storm there. Some much-needed rain across the region. Missed that report back here. All right. So the emergency manager out here in Stevens County reported a 72.4 mile an hour gust as measured on an anemometer. Visibility dropped considerably with blowing dust and dirt on the gust front. So we're getting blown up dust and dirt in this, which will further complicate things if you're looking out, if there's any circulations that may be showing up.
New information. This
All right.
severe thunderstorm warning has been updated.
And so this is the warning up here in Otter Tail and Grant counties. This is areas from Dunvilla down towards Donnelly, 70 mile an hour wind gusts and penny-sized hail. Again, that was confirmed by emergency management. Fergus Falls, Pelican Rapids, Otter Tail Lake, and Battle Lake, you're in the line for these storms. And Alexandria, Long Prairie, Glenwood, you want to keep an eye out on these storms. They're coming for you as well. You're in a different warning, but it's the same storm system. 70 mile an hour winds moving at 70 miles an hour. So these storms mean business. And I think the reason we're starting to see this line really start to speed up is we're getting that push from the line that was farther behind. The front back here in central South Dakota, running from Minot, Bismarck, back down all the way down here towards Alliance in Nebraska, that produced its own line of storms, and then that's pushed east rapidly. And then what's happened is we've gotten more activity to build along the stationary front, and now that line is starting to run out in front of it.
New information. This severe thunderstorm warning has been updated.
All right, and they just updated that warning down here for Candy-Ojai County, Meeker County, and for Swift County, and that's going to now have 1-inch hail in it and 60 mile an hour wind gusts. It does clear out areas around Olivia, back into the southwestern Candy-Ojai County. Swift County, you're still in it. And then, I just forgot what county that was. Gosh darn it. Chippewa County. I always think I would confuse Chippewa and Yellow Medicine and Lequiparo. Those 3 counties are my bugaboo for these live streams. So a few of us in the content business are having discussions about the fact that here I am live at 2 o'clock in the morning, and another person's like, yeah, I'm looking at the updated, enhanced look. I'm going to be live in the next few hours too. It's like, yeah. Now, the one thing that we haven't talked about yet, and it's been with us, it's been kind of hanging. The actual front is still well behind us. It's still way out in the Dakotas. So if we can get these storms through, clear out this light rain that goes back into South Dakota, and I'm going to look at Sioux Falls real quick. Yeah, put that in motion. Ah, that's what's happening. Okay, that makes so much more sense now that I look at it this way. So you can see this stream of moisture coming up and going from O'Neill and south in Nebraska up towards Yankton, Mitchell, South Sioux Falls. Notice it's pushing into our line here. You can see kind of 2 things going on at once. So I've got the composite on still. Turn it off. There we go. And so what's happening is that's what's pushing our line forward. And so that's why this area up here in the upper Minnesota Valley, Morris, which looks like Morris just reported a 60 mile an hour wind gust. Yep, Morris Airport, 5 minutes ago reported a 60 mile an hour wind gust. So still getting severe winds up in Morris. So Glenwood, Alexandria, that's the storm that's moving towards you. areas around New London, Spicer, you're about to get the storms Litchfield as well. No warnings once you get past Hector and Hutchinson down to the south and east. Though a few of these storms are starting to look a little suspect. They're showing signs of a hail core, but they're not showing a lot of lightning, so it makes me really question kind of what's going on here. This area by St. Peter, though, this is an area I'm watching. Forgot. Oh, there we go. Right in here is where I'm looking. That's going to be an area to watch. Otherwise, I think that unless something really starts to develop here from Gaylord to Mankato, I think the Twin Cities, we might just miss severe weather on this one. It's not to say we're not going to get some strong thunderstorms, but I don't know if we're necessarily going to get the severe winds. But we're not going to take any chances. That's why we're here and we're streaming, to make sure that you have all the latest information. I have a few too many windows open, so I'm going to try to close things up just a little bit here on my end. Makes it a little easier if I can keep track of what I'm looking at here. All right. Also, saves the computer a little wear and tear as I stream, and it has to encode everything. So as we look at this, I'm going to put this back into motion. I'm just going to let this run in a loop. So watching this area down here by New Ulm, going towards Gaylord. Now you notice that area kind of peters out. The lightning activity really starts to diminish, but then you see more lightning out down here towards Mankato. So what we're seeing is we're starting to see some cycling of these storms. And that is something we will have to watch as these storms move in towards the Twin Cities Metro, is to see if these storms actually do rebuild, do restructure, and then become a threat to the Twin Cities. All right, it is just about 2:08 in the morning. I have a clock right in front of me, right on the screen. Why am I guessing what time it is? There we go. So right now we have a number of considerable severe thunderstorm warnings across western Minnesota. The warning for Candy, Ojai, Renville, Meeker, and Pope and Swift counties, that is still in effect and will continue until 2:30, or until 2:15 rather, 2:15. So we have 8 minutes left on that one. 60-mile-an-hour winds and small hail. And then we have our considerables up here towards Morris. Every 70-mile-an-hour wind gust and quarter-sized hail. And then up here towards Alexandria, Glenwood. That is for those same storms, 70 miles an hour winds and small hail. 70 miles an hour. Wow. Miles? Yeah, saying that wrong. Oh well, you know what I'm talking about. That's the important part here. And one thing we have as an advantage here in Minnesota is we have a very good observation network. We have a mesonet, as well as some solid placement of our surface stations that give us really good data. And so it'll be interesting to see what other reports come out of these. So Benson had a 69 mile an hour wind gust. Morris had a 60, but just a 72 just to its west in Chicago. We're waiting to see what reports might come in, if any come in from this area down here. It's going to be a matter of who gets what at this point and waiting to see what happens. Excuse me. Oh, there it was. Oh, no. No, 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 no. I am not going to have the hiccups on the live stream. No. Whew, they passed. If you're wondering, these severe storms go all the way up to Fargo, all the way up here, Detroit Lakes, almost getting up towards Fosston and Bagley, down through Detroit Lakes, Fergus Falls, Alexandria to Wilmer to Litchfield, down towards Mankato. Now we're going to be focusing on our area here for black sheep weather, which is kind of, we're just getting into it now. If I can quick grab an image and throw it in the stream without blowing up everything. That mostly worked. It's not quite the way I wanted to do that. It's kind of ugly, actually. But the outline is there for the lace. It's showing the bottom screen through. Oh, well. So here's a rough approximation, kind of a rough grid line system of the counties that we consider our core area. And that's the counties in green. So Alexandria, Glenwood, you're in our area, as is Benson. Benson's not, but I really kind of lump it in. Same with Chippewa County. Wilmer, you're in our area. Olivia down to Redwood Falls, you're in our area. New Ulm, Mankato, and then across all the way into western Wisconsin. We don't cover Ladysmith, Eau Claire, and Chippewa Falls as much. That's been kind of a thing we're kicking around here in Black Sheep, is if we're going to keep using that area and expand out and cover it, or if we're not. There we go. Let's see if I can get that image to disappear. There we go. I'm waiting. Should be getting another update here shortly on this warning out here in Kandiyohi County. 201. Yeah, it's been about 10 minutes. The warning expires in 4. So I'm expecting either a new warning that will cover more that northeast corner of Kandiyohi County, the rest of Meeker County, into Stearns County, possibly into Sherburne County and the northern quarter of Wright County. If Wright County gets a warning, that will wake up the metro, because that will set off the weather radios across the metro for people who don't have it set to filter by county. Which, let me tell you, when that severe thunderstorm watch got issued, I didn't think about the fact that the weather radio here in the studio was set to go off. And it did. Startled the living daylights out of me. Reached up and slap it as I turned it off. Very curious about this warning way up here. So, there we go. There's RT Moose for thunderstorm warning. Oh, they went all the way into Hennepin County. Color me shocked on that one. Okay, they went farther than I expected. So we now have our special weather statement. That's our watch. The special weather statement is for 50 to 55 mile an hour winds and half-inch hail. Boy, kids, that's just just a sniff under the criteria for a severe thunderstorm. Severe thunderstorm criteria is 1-inch hail and 60 mile an hour wind gusts, so we're almost there. But that covers from Glencoe to New London, and then goes all the way up past Melrose, Uppsala, right between Long Prairie and Little Falls, right along the Mississippi River back to Rogers into northwestern Hennepin County, almost all of Wright County, the rest of Stearns County, and as I expected, Sherburne and a little bit of Benton County here in the St. Cloud area is in that new special weather statement. Knowing the way Chanhassen's been issuing their special weather statements, I would not be surprised if this got converted to a warning here pretty quick. Although it does look like that activity farther south here is starting to actually organize a bit more. So if we look, it's just kind of a clustered meh. And now it's starting to form
New
up
information.
into a more
This
solid
severe
line.
thunderstorm warning has been updated.
So that's Stevens Pope, that's this area. That's the other Pope County warning. There we go, Stevens and Pope. Lake Emily, Donnelly, Cyrus, and Glacial Lake State Park, you're still in the path of this storm. 70 mile an hour winds. This storm is near Kensington. Didn't need the runes to see that. About 12 miles northeast of Morris, moving northeast at 45 miles an hour. Again, 70 mile an hour wind gust and quarter-size hail possible with that storm. Twin Cities Metro, I would not... I'd fluff the pillow, try to get another hour of sleep before the storms roll through, because they're going to roll through here pretty quick, probably in the next hour to 2 hours. Be very curious to see. Just gonna look at something a different way, and I'm gonna do it a different way. I just want to see what's getting reported by some of these weather stations out here. Because I have a feeling it might be underwhelmed. Oh, they let the warning for Candiac County and all that go. Okay. And looking at this, I'm actually not, now that it's amazing what 2 or 3 radar frames can do for giving you clarity as to the storms are doing.
New information, this severe thunderstorm warning has been updated.
So this is the warning up here. Until 2:45 for northwestern Stearns, Todd, Douglas, and northeastern Pogue counties. Line of storms moving northeast at 70 with 70-mile-an-hour wind gusts and small hail. Areas from Sauk Center to Carlos to Starbuck to Brandon, all the way back down towards Lake Osakis and Alexandria. So Glenwood, Long Prairie, Alexandria, you're in that warning. You want to be taking shelter as the storm is producing 70-mile-an-hour winds. And feel like I need to be saying more, but there's not a lot to say. We've been expecting these storms to come through in the overnight for quite a while, and I think I was going to say it earlier, and we got more going on there. Okay, we're going to have to watch that too. Okay, well. The night just gets more interesting. So, as I was saying, we have this line of storms that's about to move through the Twin Cities. There's another area back behind here from Olivia to Redwood Falls. I didn't even see that before. The radar in Chanhassen is trying to look through the other activity, and it's a little harder to see it. Plus, it's also buried under lightning data. But that area will have to be watched too. But as this line comes through, it's going to use up a lot of the storm fuel that's there. The question then becomes, how much sun can we get during the day today, Wednesday? If we can clear out and get some sun, we're going to reload the atmosphere. And as this front comes plowing through, we will get hit with another line of storms. Then the other question is where do the storms form? If they form out more towards the US 71 corridor, so they're way out here, Wilmer area up towards Bemidji and getting down towards Fairmont and Worthington and Blue, or Jackson's what I was trying to think of, Windham. If they form out there, the Twin Cities, we're going to get it. We'll have all modes of severe weather possible, being severe hail, tornadoes, and also damaging winds. If they form over Minnesota 15, so more towards St. Cloud, back down here towards Fairmont, our chances of hail and tornadoes actually still good, but the damaging wind threat is a little lower. And if they form along I-35, the Twin Cities, we're going to see some showers and storms. But then, oh, shoot. I'm going to interrupt myself. Ottertail.
Attention, a new radar-indicated tornado warning has been issued.
Okay, that's way up in Grand Forks area. But Ottertail and Grant counties. So Fergus Falls to near Melbeach and near Kensington.
Attention, a new EDS severe thunderstorm warning has been issued. You have an EDS destructive severe thunderstorm warning now for northeastern Grant and southern Ottertail counties for wind gusts to 80 miles an hour. This will include Wadena, Perham, Ottertail Lake, New York Mills, Elbow Lake, Parker's Prairie, and Battle Lake. And so that is this cell up here. And the reason that warning looks a little strange is because Fergus Falls in Ottertail County, and then up here in Grant County, that is covered by the National Weather Service in Fargo, Grand Forks. Alexandria, Long Prairie, Morris, and Glenwood, that's all National Weather Service Chanhassen. But I was saying, if the storms form up along I-35, that will really reduce the chances of severe weather here in the Twin Cities, but it means that western Wisconsin, so Balsam Lake, Barron, Eau Claire, down towards Winona, Rochester, those areas will be primed to see the large hail and tornado threat tomorrow. So it's all going to depend on how much we can clear out and how much incoming sun we can get. So there's our radar indicated tornado warning. As I said, it was way north. Crookston, Beltrami, Gentilly, Lockhart, Harold, Greenview, and Melvin in the path of the storm. That is a radar indicated tornado warning until 3 a.m. for north central Norman and south central Polk counties in northwestern Minnesota. You see those storms are starting to gust out too. So, I'm wondering what structure they're seeing. Right here, this little pocket. Right near Beltrami, right there. Right in here. That's what Grand Forks is looking at and has the tornado warning for. I am a little, what's the word I'm looking for? Curious. Because you've got this severe thunderstorm warning, destructive EDS severe thunderstorm warning up here for areas like Battle Lake, New York Mills, and Elbow Lake. But geographically, that clips a good chunk of Todd County. I won't call it Stevens, it's Todd, with Alexandria. So I'm kind of surprised we haven't seen an updated severe thunderstorm warning up here. 70-mile-an-hour winds and small hail as of 2:15. I am not going to try to outguess the National Weather Service. That's beyond my pay grade. And boy, talk about some storms losing their punch. Whew. See how storm as that line came through. This is only going back an hour. So you can see that line coming up with the front, and it's getting into that less storm-fueled air, so it's a little bit more stable over here towards the Mississippi River. But I would be watching this area back here. It's coming out from Marshall, moving up towards Granite Falls and Redwood Falls and Olivia. This area is starting to organize. And given that it seems to be moving more easterly, that could wind up clipping South Metro here. So here's Shakopee, Hastings, south of the Minnesota River, excuse me, and Dakota and Scott counties and Carver counties, and south. There we go. Again, still watching this. I'm going to actually, is that close enough? Let's find out. Oh, so barely. Okay. So I just switch over here quick to the high-resolution FAA Doppler radar in Cottage Grove. And this is used mostly for detecting wind shear and downdrafts and things like that for operations at MSP. But it also does a really good job of looking at the metro and seeing very small details. It makes it a lot easier to pick out things like gust fronts, sudden downburst of wind where you suddenly have a lot of wind suddenly reaching the surface. But these storms aren't quite close enough yet. There we go. Every once in a while we get an update from the Storm Prediction Center, and they'll update what's included and where is included for watches. And every once in a while you'll see like all of Wisconsin just disappeared for a second, and that was that update coming through as the system processed it. I'm very curious about this area right up in here. As of 2:15, so 10 minutes ago, they're still carrying just a considerable, but you've got a destructive wrapping around it. If you're in Evansville, Leaf Valley, Irving, Parker's Prairie, well, Irving and Parker's Prairie, you're already in the EDS, that extremely destructive situation. But Evansville, Leaf Valley, Bell River, areas north and west of Alexandria, I would be taking your shelter right now because these storms are coming through. And there's not much, I mean, there's a difference between a 70 and an 80 mile an hour wind gust, but the warning as it stands, that warning is only for 70-mile-an-hour winds in Stevens County, Todd County, not Stevens, Todd. In Todd County, I'm questioning what county it is. It is Todd. And Douglas. No, it's Douglas. Oh my gosh. Todd County is Long Prairie. Douglas County is Alexandria. Oh my God, I've been using the wrong county all along. Either way, north and west of Alexandria, if you're in that county, you want to be seeking sturdy shelter now. The bigger danger with these storms, yes, you have 70 to 80 mile an hour winds, but you also have to consider it's 2:30 in the morning. Most people are sound asleep right now. Yeah, the storms may wake them up, but what's going to wake them? Is it going to be hail? Is it going to be thunder? Or is it going to be the roar of the wind as the wind suddenly hits them and hits their location? And if a tree falls through your house and you're not prepared for it, that can be even more catastrophic than having a tree fall through your house. But Twin Cities, boy, not a betting man, but I'm really kind of watching this redevelopment back here. I really am. So from pretty much Renville County back down towards Redwood Falls, the cluster there that's really starting to organize, and I'm really watching that because that could wind up coming through the Twin Cities here later.
New information. This severe
And they did
thunderstorm warning has been updated.
Update our considerable severe thunderstorm warning up here for Alexandria, Long Prairie. 70 mile an hour winds and small hail, still the expected threats with this. Alexandria, it is through you. I'm going to switch radar sites because we're so far north. So northwestern Douglas County. God, that's going to haunt me now. Northwestern Douglas County up to Grant and to Otter Tail County. Be seeking your safe space precautions right now. We got storms coming in with 70 to 80 mile an hour wind gusts, and they are moving at 50 miles an hour too. So it's not like these storms are just kind of lackadaisical. Moving northeast to 50, confirmed wind gust to 82. I don't see it showing up in the storm reports yet. But an 82 mile an hour wind gust is serious. Now, looking at using the Fargo Moorhead radar site in Mayville, North Dakota, and you can see very little is showing up down here in the Twin Cities area, which is to be expected. We're the far edge of the radar site and their coverage. So much more substantial this area down here by Olivia shows up in the middle of Renville County. Let's switch over to Sioux Falls, which has a much better vantage point to it. And there it is. Oops, didn't mean to grab the radar and slide it. So this area right in here. The other thing to note is from Marshall to Brookings to Madison and back out here north of Mitchell, special weather statement from the Sioux Falls Weather Service Office for a gust or a wake low behind these storms, and winds gusting as high as 45 to 55 miles an hour behind the storms. So even if you get through the line of storms and you don't get that much wind, you may get just as much wind, but over a longer period of time as this wake low moves through behind the storms. Back over to the Chanhassen radar. So the storms have reached I-35. Faribault and Owatonna, you're getting storms now. Scott and Carver counties, it's moving into you now. It's going to be here in the Twin Cities in the next hour. So it looks like we're going to get a little bit of a gap across. I'm not going to say it. Look at that gap between Hutchinson and Buffalo. It's just a little bit of a narrowing right here. But I don't want to jinx anything. Be curious to see 212. When does this expire? Expires at what? $3.15. Oh man. says it right there, but I was using the time up here in Greenwich Mean Zulu time to try to do the math, and my math just didn't want to do it. So I was taking a bigger look here. You'll notice that we're starting to get clearing of counties back here as the lines have moved through. All right, looking at this, so northwestern Stearns County, oh, we just got the new frontal positions, okay. And the reason that is important, you can see that the stationary front is starting to pull a little bit more northward. It was down here along the Minnesota River, now it's up to almost Wilmer. So if that keeps moving northward, that's going to put us back into this warm, juicy air mass and move that in, even if we don't get as much sun. So this is going to be an interesting day to watch and see how it evolves through the day. But as it is, the only thing that is warned in our coverage area is far northwestern Stearns County, and I would expect them to be dropped out of this warning here pretty quick. Okay, there's some wind, there's 64 mile an hour wind gust at Alexandria. And that was at the airport in Alexandria, so it's an official report. Oh man. Okay, just quick peeking. More data coming in, so I'll take a quick look at that. Okay. All right, and now we have our special weather statement for the Twin Cities. Area of storms from Mayer to just northwest of Faribault, or 20 miles south of Buffalo to 6 miles northwest of Faribault, moving northeast at 45. Wind gust of 40 and pea-sized hail possible with these storms. So again, this area is strong, but it's not severe, and it's not even that close to being severe. Again, I'm still kind of eyeballing this area back here. The other thing that's interesting to look at from my perspective, I'm going to throw some data on the map. I apologize, it's going to make the map messy. But what I want to see is some wind directions here. Oh, that's not really helpful. So northwest. Okay, that is the front right there. Okay. So the little arrows are pointing the wind direction. And so you see we have a fairly strong southeasterly flow ahead of this boundary. Strong south boundary here. Strong south wind here. That west wind here, kind of this area, this is that wake low blowing out, so I'm not too worried about it. What I'm looking at more is you have that southeast flow here, and then if you look like southeasterly or northwesterly wind here, westerly, that's more thunderstorms down here. So some of this is contaminated data, which makes it really hard to tell. But that's a fairly accurate position where the main cold front is and the low pressure center is.
New information.
And so that's
This
gonna be
severe
what we have to
thunderstorm
watch
warning has
coming
been
into later
updated.
today. But as for now, I'm going to turn the friendly wind directions off because they're cluttering. There we go. All right. It is now just after 2:30 Central Time on Wednesday, June the 10th. You are watching Black Sheep Weather. And we are watching a seemingly diminishing line of thunderstorms move across the Twin Cities metro. They were all part of a much larger storm system that blew up way back between Minot and North Platte and Minot, North Dakota, and North Platte in Nebraska. And those storms were severe and have raced across the Dakotas into western Minnesota. And they're kind of outrunning their storm fuel And that's why you're starting to see this weakening as the storms have crossed over that boundary. And as they do so, what's happening is they're getting cut off from that warm air mass. So, I mean, it's plenty warm and juicy out here in the Twin Cities and Eau Claire and areas to the east. But you have a much more unstable, warmer environment down here towards Marshall and Worthington, New Ulm, Mankato. So these storms are coming over that boundary and cutting themselves off, which is why you're seeing them weaken as they come through. But I would not be, I'll be surprised if we see any warnings out of any of this. If there were to be any warnings, boy, this is a big conditional if. If there were any warnings, I think they would be down here between Red Wing and Rochester, down here in Wabasha and Goodhue counties. Possibly Rice and Dodge. But again, I would not be holding my breath on that one. And have they cleared Stearns yet? No, they have not cleared Stearns County yet. So I'm going to watch this a little bit longer. Provided nothing changes dramatically in the next little bit. This may be a short stream. I may have gotten a little jumpy in jumping on live with not a lot going on. Well, there was plenty going on, and in the hour it moved across Minnesota here, it just kind of went meh and gave up. And watching that skin come through. Yeah. I'm going to switch over to the FAA Doppler radar. Yeah. Velocity. Data. There's a pocket of stronger winds here between Lonsdale and Faribault. So Lonsdale up towards Castle Rock. Elko Newmarket, if it stays like it is, it'll eventually make it up towards Hastings. Otherwise, I'm going to switch radar sites again. Yeah, there's that same pocket right here. There's a few pockets here and there of some stronger winds, one just south of Waconia, one here in the Minnesota River Valley by Jordan. Now, we've been talking about this area back here in Renville County. That's throwing some serious winds aloft. But we have to keep in mind, we're looking at 40 to 60 mile an hour winds, but we're looking a mile off the surface. So it's quite a ways up. And so that may be what saves us from seeing a whole lot of that at the surface here. I'm going to put this back into motion briefly. I want to see what this cluster out here by Olivia is doing. It looks like it might be drifting north and east. So Marshall. Yeah, that's just another. It's another cluster right behind. Cluster doesn't seem terribly well organized. Some strong winds with it, but other than that, not really much going on in it. And you can tell that because our warning count has come way down. We have one tornado warning way up by Crookston. We have severe thunderstorm warnings up here from, I'm going to add to it.
Attention,
Red Lake
a
Falls
new
and Bagley
tornadic
down through
severe
Detroit
thunderstorm
Lakes,
warning has been
Furnace Falls,
issued.
Wadena, Alexandria, Long Prairie down towards Glenwood and towards Sauk Center. But otherwise, south of that, just some good rumbly thunderstorms moving through. So again, we're going to have to watch out for us to see how much clearing we get, see how much sun we can get. Of course, obviously more sun means we get warmer temperatures. That's storm fuel. If we can get these clouds out of the way, we'll get more heating. if the storms are weaker, they're not going to chew up as much storm fuel. They're not going to work over the atmosphere as much. And when you say work over, it basically mixes everything up. So instead of having a nice warm layer aloft, where sometimes, I mean, you can get a cap, which is where things are very much inhibiting of storms. Whoa. And they just expanded that watch. Yep, they expanded it into the Iron Range, up to International Falls, Hibbing, Duluth.
Attention, a new
What's that, a
severe
new one? That's a
thunderstorm
new
watch has
one.
been issued.
Okay. I didn't realize it was going to be a new watch. And so Duluth and the Twin Ports, you are under a severe thunderstorm watch until 8 a.m. And in Minnesota, that will include Aitkin, Crow Wing, Pine, Carlton, Itasca, St. Louis, Cass, and Koochiching counties. So pretty much everywhere north and east in Minnesota. It also does include Douglas County in Wisconsin. Will also come down here into the county I can never remember in Wisconsin, to Burnett, Polk, Barron, Washburn, and even come over as far as Chippewa and Rusk, down through Eau Claire, Chippewa County, Eau Claire County, and then that will also cover Pierce, Polk, and St. Croix, Pepin, and then down to Buffalo and Trempealeau counties in Wisconsin. Let's see if there's any update here on that destructive. It's a 216. Okay, they just let it fly. Okay. Sometimes you see updates pretty regularly from excuse me, Weather Service offices as things happen. And sometimes they just plop it out there and say, yep, here's your warning, and don't really give us much of an update or give much of an update as it comes through. You know, as I watch this line come into the Twin Cities, I'm entirely underwhelmed. This is going to be a nice, whoa, oh, watch the lightning activity down here, Mankato to New Ulm, and watch as it suddenly hits, it's like, bam! And suddenly there's a whole lot more lightning activity. An increase in lightning activity can indicate storms are strengthening. So that will be something we'll have to watch here in the South Metro. Black Sheep Weather, our studios, we are here in Apple Valley. So that is something I will be watching quite closely. Areas to the north, St. Cloud, you might see a little bit of a stronger storm. Nothing severe, just a little bit stronger. There's some strengthening here and there in this line. Still, what that cluster that's trailing behind back towards Olivia, it's an interesting little feature back there. Curious to see what it'll do and where it's going to go. Because it looks like it's getting pulled up into that line, but at the same time, it keeps trying to grow south too. So, boy, so Litchfield, Buffalo, St. Cloud, Elk River, eventually, if it holds together, Malacca and Cambridge, you're going to be in the path of this storm. We have 3 minutes left on our warning up here in northwestern Stearns County. And I don't know if what they're gonna do with that. Personally, if it was me, I would let it expire. Glenwood, 74-mile-an-hour wind gust. That was probably at the airport down there. Yep. Sometimes the storm reports come in a little late. They're pushing a storm report out to the wires is not the highest priority right now for Chanhassen. They're going to be looking more at what the hell's going on with all these storms, and do we need to be issuing more warnings? Are we seeing signs of strengthening? They have more detailed tools than I have access to here. Well, that's not true. They have better access to tools that I have access to, but are very difficult to stream. So I'll say it that way. All right. And it is official. The storms are into the Twin Cities because I just heard a low rumble of thunder, which is probably from these lightning strikes that are starting to move in here towards Burnsville. So Twin Cities, we are in it. Here come the storms. And it looks like the South Metro and the East Metro. So right now it looks like areas from Shakopee up towards Stillwater, even up towards Osceola. Areas south and east of that general line will get more of this than areas to the north and west. Zoom back out here. Apologize, I keep zooming in and out as I'm looking at things. But there's a little bit of a gap here over Scott County. You can see that here is this, there's a little bit stronger of a cluster. It's going to go up, kind of following the Crow River up towards Elk River. And there goes the warning for Stearns, Douglas, and Todd counties and Pope County. So currently we have no warnings in the Black Sheep coverage area. I have a couple of special weather statements. The one up here, oops, that's the warning. Special weather statement still in effect for 30 more minutes for winds to 50 to 55 miles an hour, and that runs from the Northwest Metro, Maple Grove, up through Buffalo, back down to Glencoe, all the way up to St. Cloud and Melrose, all the way up to Rice. And that line of storms is about halfway through that area now. And then down here in the Twin Cities, we have another special weather statement, and that is in effect, I believe, until 3:30. Yes, it is. And so that is for these storms that are moving in. They are strengthening somewhat. A lot more lightning in these all of a sudden. So 40 to 50 mile an hour winds, or wind gust to 40 in pea-sized tails, what the Weather Service said at the last update. Get these storms through the Twin Cities. We'll let them keep rolling through here. And if there's no more warnings issued, and this area back here that formed up over Renville County keeps moving off to the north and east over Meeker County and does not appear to be organizing anymore or any further, then what we'll do is we will call it a night. That way we can get some sleep here at Black Sheep and be ready to do this again tomorrow if necessary. You know it's getting calm when the meteorologists are going da 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 and starting to sing little songs on camera. You know, that area out there has separated. It was kind of attached. Notice there's now a gap. Pretty solid gap, actually. Let's stop this. And you can see here, Glencoe to Litchfield, up towards New London, is a break between the original line that was coming through and this other area back here. Not terribly strong, but boy, does it have a lot of lightning in it. Same thing with this cell over Scott County that's about to move into Dakota County and southeastern Hennepin, into Ramsey and southern Washington counties. Lots of lightning. Get a lot of ground strikes out here in Burnsville, too. Well, it looks like most of it's actually up towards Waconia and up in Carver County. But nothing severe, just some stronger thunderstorms, some lightning, maybe some gusty winds up to about 40 miles an hour, and maybe some pea-sized hail. In other words, we're seeing some good typical thunder showers. And you can tell that the southern part of this is really starting to fall apart because we still have our considerable or destructive severe thunderstorm warning up here that runs until 3:15, and that is for Ottertail and Grant counties. And then we have another severe thunderstorm warning that runs from Red Lake Falls down to Bagley, down to Detroit Lakes. And then south of that, nothing. We have two special weather statements that cover the Mississippi River area from Little Falls down through the Twin Cities to Red Wing, back to Faribault, to Litchfield, and back over here towards Paynesville and Belgrade. In other words, generally just quiet thunderstorms moving through. Kind of given the storm down here. Shock. Oh,
Attention, a new severe thunderstorm warning has been issued.
Nope, not considerable. Okay. So a severe thunderstorm warning for Morrison and Todd counties for a storm that is 25 miles northwest of Little Falls or near Browerville, moving northeast at 50. 60-mile-an-hour winds and small hail with that storm. And that is up and out of our area, but knowing the people in northern Stearns County do travel to and from those areas, it's always good to make sure that people have the word out and know what is going on. All right. Of course, I had to say there was nothing south and east of that destructive severe thunderstorm warning, and poof, we had a new warning. Now, as that storm moves farther north and east, up towards Wadena and Brainerd, that would trigger Duluth National Weather Service issuing warnings on that, because that actually, Brainerd is covered by Duluth. Wadena, I believe, is still, I have to look at my counties real quick. Yeah, Wadena and Park Rapids, that is still, in Bemidji, that is still Grand Forks, I believe. I know Brainerd, Grand Rapids, and International Falls are all Duluth. Turn on that boundary set, but
New information. This severe
Alright,
thunderstorm
and
warning
we
has been
now have a
updated.
tornado possible tag on our storm up here in Otter Tail County, which would be Detroit Lakes, would be this storm. If I get the wrong storm, I got the wrong storm. There we go. All right, do have a tornado possible tag on that. So areas up here from Battle Lake and Parker's Prairie up towards Wadena, New York Mills, and Perham. And keep an eye on that storm. Do you have that tornado possible tag on that warning? All right. It is 2:50 on a Wednesday morning. We're watching Black Sheep Weather. I am Chief Meteorologist John Lamb, slowly fighting the battle to stay awake. It's coming up on 3 a.m. It's past my bedtime. But the weather doesn't care, and so that's why we're here. So, as I said, South Metro, looks like we're going to get a nice little thunderstorm through here. So that'll go from roughly Chanhassen, that's going to clip up, probably get up to about New Richmond and Osceola. So you can visualize that line. So downtown Minneapolis, you'll probably miss this. Areas like Hugo and Forest Lake and Marine on St. Croix, you will probably miss this as well. There's another cell that looks like it might be trying to go a little gusty up here. Yeah, it does. So this cell up here by Buffalo and St. Michael, that could be producing a little bit stronger winds, maybe 40, 45 miles an hour. And watching this, all right, this area further back that I've been watching for a while over Renville County, down into Redwood County, that is starting to really blow out. You can see it just suddenly just fingers out, rushes out right here. So I don't know how much of that we have to look forward to in terms of what might happen behind us. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out what's green. Something green. Oh, I know what it is. Like there's something green on my desk and it's chroma keying out. I'm like, what the hell? All right, it's what I get for having way too much stuff going on at once. Part of the reason I'm a little run down and my voice is kind of shot is I had to fight with my computer. The production computer decided it did not want to update today. It updated and promptly crashed. So it would not boot, so I had to very quickly reinstall everything, verify that everything was working before anything possibly happened, and that's how I spent my evening, was babysitting a rebuild of a computer and making sure that the streaming software was on it and everything was working, and all the while watching the storms roll in from the Dakotas and hoping I would be up and ready to do anything with them if they got here, and they have, as we expected. So we're coming up on 3 o'clock. Still watching this area south of the metro. Well, shouldn't want to say south of the metro. So Northfield to Shakopee, this area right in here, that area seems to be strengthening up some, and that's going to move across Dakota County. That's going to move over towards Hastings, River Falls, Hudson, Woodbury, and eventually make it up towards Baldwin and New Richmond. And the thunder is getting almost continuous here. We're getting a lot more thunder here in Apple Valley than we were just a little bit ago. And here's the rain. It's not rain. Actually, you know what? Hold that thought, folks. It is rain, okay. Oh yeah, it's rain. It is definitely rain. And it's definitely much cooler behind this. Bear with me just a second here. I'm going to open a window. There we go. Now I can get some of this breeze through without getting the rain in. Oh. So one thing about having a streaming computer, they get warm and they keep it warm. So my streaming machine has liquid cooling, and it is still sitting at a nice toasty 68 to 70 degrees as I'm streaming in 1080p. So the studio is now sitting at a nice, pleasant 80 degrees. So I'm a little warm. It's actually a little cooler outside than it is in here. Oh, it's disturbing. But yeah, so Twin Cities Metro, we've got a couple of little waves of storms coming through, but nothing severe. Just some good pouring rain and some thunder. Good sleeping weather, actually. Which is not helping that I open the window because now I want to fall asleep. Okay, and if, what? Okay, that's a little bonkers there. Yeah, it's totally out of place. What the hell? But we're gonna verify it. What is it looking at? The tornadic vortex signature, the TVS indicator, is picking up on this little area right here by Rice, but there's nothing on the radar at all that would say yes, that's anything. So I'm not sure what the hell it's on about. Excuse me. Oh, there's that comes. Yep, and yeah, we are getting a solid downpour here in Apple Valley at Black Sheep. And as I said, we're going to get that area. It's going to go kind of follow 494 a bit across the South Metro. So the airport's going to get it towards St. Paul, Woodbury, Stillwater, Hudson, New Richmond. And then there's a gap. And then there's general thunderstorms. I mean, just some light rain general thunderstorms from Plymouth, and that reaches all the way back up the river, all the way up here towards St. Cloud. North and west of St. Cloud, though, we do have some stronger cells up here by Avon and Albany, up towards Uppsala. And those will be moving towards Royalton, Little Falls, and Rice and Foley here over the next hour. But unless there is another warning issued here in the next couple of minutes, we're going to call it a night as of 3 o'clock. That way, as I said earlier, we can get some sleep, and the crew here at Black Sheep can get recharged and ready to go for another day of fun and frivolity, as Mother Nature has decided that we don't need a busy day, we need a busy night. So hopefully we don't have too much of a busy day, because the possibility is there for us to get some pretty nasty weather tomorrow, and that would be less than pleasant. So I'm going to watch this for just a couple more minutes here. And as I look back at that activity back towards Litchfield, down toward Rotary Falls, yeah, that's quickly disintegrating. And we are getting just a little hail here in Apple Valley. You hear a little bit of like pea-sized hail, just a few here and there. Yeah. All in all, good sleeping weather. So areas north and west of St. Cloud, moving up towards Mille Lacs Lake. That is one area of stronger thunderstorms. Still not severe. Winds only to about 35 to 45 miles an hour. And then in the South Metro, from roughly St. Louis Park and Lake Minnetonka.
Attention,
Back
a
down,
new severe
all the way
thunderstorm
down
warning
towards
has been
Northfield.
issued.
Actually, that's not Northfield anymore at that point. Cannon Falls. Whoa! It's a Kenyon. We are getting some wind now here in Apple Valley. Just pop the windows here. So, as I was saying, sorry. From Kenyon down towards Dodge Center, back up towards the south side of Hennepin County. So Bloomington, Edina, Minnetonka. And that area is all moving off to the northeast. Some gusty winds, some very small hail, pea-sized hail, and some good lightning and thunder with it, but otherwise not severe, just solid thunderstorm. As I said, we are getting a little pea-sized hail here and there. Nothing to write home about at all. But it is now 3 o'clock. We did get an extension to the special weather statement for areas from Cambridge to Malacca to Little Falls, up towards Malacca, almost up to Onamia. And that is for that same line of storms that we saw, I'm commenting on up here by St. Cloud. And that is for wind gusts of 50 miles an hour and pea-sized hail. So same thing we're getting here in the cities right now. So with that, these storms are in a very distinct downtrend. They are weakening. There's still some strength left in them, but nothing severe. So at this time, what we're going to do is we are going to call it a night here at Black Sheep. I hope that you have enjoyed our coverage. If you like what we do, hit the like button, hit subscribe, hit the bell to get notified when we go live. And you can also follow us on our social medias. Again, I am meteorologist John Lamb with Black Sheep Weather. Thank you.